across the country, tackling the topics everyone is talking about online. Share, engage, and interact. This is Newsfeed Now.
Good morning and happy Inauguration Day. Thanks so much for joining us for Newsfeed Now. I'm Hillary Hunt. We are seeing a historic inauguration and the end of a historic presidency as well. We also are going to get a look at the latest when it comes to the coronavirus pandemic and meet a North Carolina girl who's not only an entrepreneur, but she's also a best-selling author. All of this and more coming up in the next 20 minutes. But of course, we got to start with what everyone's talking about. It only happens every 4 years at our Capitol Hill. You're looking at it right now. Today, Joe Biden will be sworn in as the 46th president of the United States. And Kamala Harris will make history as the first female and the first person of color to take the oath of office for vice president. You're taking a look right now at the festivities that are happening. They're saying a prayer right now at our nation's capital. Washington correspondent Jessie Teneur is going to join us live in just a few. But first, she's going to give us a look at how the incoming and outgoing administrations will spend their first and last official days in the White House. Take a look.
USA! Insurrection.
He must go.
Impeachment. Inauguration.
We love you all.
The first 3 Wednesdays of the year set the stage for an even more historic Biden-Harris administration.
That's how we heal. It's important to do that as a nation.
The COVID-19 pandemic will cast a somber note on the celebrations as President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris prepare to take their oaths before the smallest inauguration crowd at the Capitol, but the largest security presence in U.S. history.
Though we may be physically separated, we, the American people, are united in spirit.
In his first 100 days in office, Biden is promising a COVID-19 relief package and a sweeping immigration bill, along with a slew of executive orders. Biden says he and the most diverse administration in the nation's history are entering the White House with hope.
Don't tell me things can't change. They can, and they do.
President Donald Trump marks his last day in the White House.
We embarked on a mission to make America great again
by issuing more than 140 pardons and commutations early this morning. The list includes his former chief strategist, Steve Bannon, but omits family members and his personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani. In a farewell address taped Monday, President Trump wished the new administration luck, but told supporters his work isn't finished.
The movement we started is only just beginning.
We want to bring in our Washington, D.C. correspondent, Jessie Teneur, joining us now. I'm sure Jessie's ready for all this to be over so she can get some sleep. You've been working hard covering today's inauguration, and things are underway right now, Jessie.
Yeah, I have it on my TV too, just so I can make sure what's going on. Yeah, like you said, they're still in the prayer, but yeah, definitely a lot of eyes on today's inauguration. Even though the last time Joe Biden was inaugurated, that time as vice president, there was about 2 million people there filling the National Mall. It's still pretty cool though to see all of those flags that they put in to represent those who couldn't be there due to the coronavirus, and also just kind of recognize just how many Americans we've lost now, over 400,000. Because of the virus. And so they're still trying to stick with tradition today as much as possible. That's why you're still kind of seeing some pomp and circumstance, even though there's not the, crazy loud cheers and chants that you would typically see.
But also all eyes on this also because of what happened in D.C. just a week ago, the violence that broke out. Right now it seems everything is remaining quiet, but high security in place right now, Jessie.
Yeah, exactly. So due to the pandemic, it's going to be the smallest crowd in history since they held this ceremony at the U.S. Capitol on the West Lawn. But it's also going to go down in history as the largest security presence exactly for that reason. There's very tall fencing around the Capitol complex where this is being held. And yeah, lots of security, tanks, National Guard, other military, law enforcement, just to make sure that everybody does remain safe today. And there's still lots of checkpoints you have to get through. And so they're making sure that nothing goes wrong today.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Jessie Teneur out of Washington, D.C. And of course, we're going to give you guys another live look at just a little. But someone who is not there, President Trump, leaving the White House for the last time this morning. He actually made his remarks at Joint Base Andrews during a red carpet military send-off. We want you to take a listen.
This has been an incredible 4 years. We've accomplished so much together. I want to thank all of my family and my friends and my staff. It is my greatest honor and privilege to have been your president.
And as we prepare to see a new administration, we do want to take a look back at the last 4 years. Joel Khalil gives us a look at that.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
That I will faithfully execute.
that I will faithfully execute
The office of President of the United States.
the office of President of the United States.
From the moment he was sworn in, President Donald Trump has presided over 4 years of tumult and triumph.
This is a momentous day for America.
I, Amy Coney Barrett, do solemnly swear.
There were boom times for some, while the country's divisions were laid bare.
I can't breathe! I can't breathe! I can't breathe!
And then, a year dominated by an historic pandemic. Almost 400,000 Americans dead, an economy hit hard. Vaccines developed with unprecedented speed. And through it all, President Trump shattered norms. His relationship with Congress, his stance toward the media.
Don't be, no, I'm not going to give you a question. I'm not going to give you a question. You are fake news. Go ahead.
And in the process, he transformed the GOP.
At a moment of great division.
We need to do something. We need to fight.
I think so many of the things that the Trump administration accomplished were great successes.
Mark Lauder was there from day one, part of the 2016 campaign that vaulted Donald Trump into the White House. Then he became a top White House staffer. He puts the economy at the top of the list of achievements.
The direct benefits of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. We saw record low unemployment. We saw it for women, for minorities.
We've created almost $4 trillion in wealth.
Median household income went up, the stock market hit record highs, and unemployment fell to 3.5% before the pandemic, the lowest rate since 1969. In 4 years, President Trump reshaped the political landscape. What used to be called the bully pulpit, now no longer a White House podium, but a Twitter account. Dan Balls has covered 7 presidential administrations for the Washington Post.
Not every president wanted to dominate every news cycle, whereas it's clear that this president has done that.
Big tech, now a target of the president and his supporters, helped build the Trump movement.
The rise of Twitter and Facebook gave him a platform.
What a group!
And a reach that went beyond what any president had been able to do.
On foreign policy,
he moved the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem in Israel, something that every president had promised to do but never did.
President Trump also helped normalize relations between Israel and some Middle Eastern nations, a diplomatic move aimed at easing tensions in the region. He also got progressively tougher on China, accusing the superpower of unfair trade practices.
I'll be signing it right here, right now.
And blaming China for destroying U.S. manufacturing.
I stand before you today to fulfill one of my highest and most important duties under the United States Constitution, the nomination of a Supreme Court justice.
And perhaps President Trump's most lasting achievement for Republicans, 3 additions to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Thank you, President Trump, for selecting me to serve as an Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court.
And more than 230 conservative judges on the federal bench. And at the outset of 2020, a campaign year, came impeachment by the House.
The actions of President Trump gave Congress no alternative.
Democrats say the president tried to strong-arm his Ukrainian counterpart, demanding an investigation into his chief political rival, former Vice President Joe Biden.
There's no way we lost Georgia. There's no way. That was a rigged election.
And in November, voters denied the president a second term.
And they're not taking this White House. We're going to fight like hell, I'll tell you right now.
But President Trump refused to concede. Instead, he continued to claim he won in a landslide.
I won both of them. It's amazing.
His allies were dealt a string of defeats in court challenges, but the president still alleged widespread voter fraud that was not supported by any evidence.
I think is the attack on truth, the attack on institutions, his penchant for whether you want to call it distortions or falsehoods or outright lies. And
these false claims were taken to heart by President Trump's most ardent supporters. When the bitterness building over the last 4 years boiled over, it was too much for many in the party.
What happened here today was an insurrection incited by the President of the United States.
10 Republican members of the House voted with Democrats to impeach the president for an historic second time. In the end, Donald Trump leaves office with a party and a nation divided and anxious over what comes next.
Joe Khalil reporting for us. One thing that isn't gone, the coronavirus. The United States has now surpassed more than 400,000 coronavirus deaths since the start of this pandemic. A very sobering number here. The first case of COVID-19 was confirmed here in the U.S. on January 21st last year. Around the world, more than 2 million deaths have been recorded due to COVID-19. 24 million people have gotten COVID-19 here in the U.S. since the start of the pandemic, the highest number of confirmed cases in the world. And moving on into the West, on Monday, California became the first state to surpass 3 million cases of COVID-19, less than a month after surpassing 2 million. That happened right around Christmas. According to new research from a medical center there, another new variant strain has fueled Southern California. And we're going to talk about that in a little, but right now I'm being told that Kamala Harris, Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, is being sworn in. So we want to give you a live look at that right now.
Foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I take this obligation freely. That I take this obligation freely. Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. That I will well and faithfully discharge. That I will well and faithfully discharge. The duties of the office on which I am about to enter. The duties of the office upon which I am about to enter. So help me God. So help me God. All right.
That's our newest Vice President, Kamala Harris, the first female of color to actually hold that spot in U.S. history. She was just sworn in. You just witnessed it live right there. We're going to quickly go back to talking about the coronavirus pandemic in California while we wait on the president-elect to be sworn in. Nancy Liu has more on the new variant that is taking over.
Just exploded or took over the local prevalence of the population over the last 2 months, November and December, and that this coincided right with the big spike in cases.
Researchers at Cedars-Sinai said the new local variant called Cal-20C is yet another mutation of COVID-19. And like the other variants that have also been detected in California, it is more contagious and on the move.
What's unique about this strain is that it carries 5 mutations that we can identify it to be this Cal-20C strain. And in that, there are mutations within this S protein. And that, I think, requires more investigation because this is kind of the spike protein which with antibodies and vaccinations are being targeted against.
Doctors suspect Cal-20C may soon account for about half of the state's cases. In a news conference today, California's top doc says there is great concern over the various mutations, including L452R, which has been prevalent in Santa Clara County.
Working to determine if this variant, similar to the UK variant, has any increase in infectiousness, what its impact might be on vaccinations and in other areas of concern.
While California's rate of transmission and death remain among the country's worst, Dr. Gailey says numbers are beginning to stabilize. State and federal experts continue to encourage mitigation and vaccination in fighting the new mutant strains along with the UK variant.
Thus far, the Brits tell us it doesn't seem to be something that has eluded or escaping from the protection that is afforded by the vaccines that we're using.
As the pandemic continues to progress, a lot of people wanting to get that vaccine, and we're going to take a look at what's trending in the Midwest. Millions of people, as you can imagine, want that COVID-19 vaccine. But here's the thing, a Kansas psychiatrist is accused of helping people cut the line. It's a move that could have put some healthy people months ahead of those who are at highest risk. Linda Wagner has more on this investigation.
It's constantly busy at the Wyandotte County Vaccination Center, where there are sometimes more people than vaccine. That's why two healthcare whistleblowers are upset with what they say were dozens of ineligible people who cut in line for the vaccine by posing as employees of Kansas City, Kansas psychiatrist Michaela Wexler. According to Kansas guidelines, doctors, nurses, and those working in a healthcare setting and nursing home patients were supposed to be the only ones currently eligible for the vaccine. But our Fox 4 sources say that people posing as Dr. Wexler employees included actors, financial advisors, and other acquaintances of Dr. Wexler, even of her ex-husband, although he wouldn't talk to us about it.
Your name was brought up by someone as to you having told them that they could get vaccinated. So that's why we wanted to give you a chance to respond to that.
I thank you for offering me the chance. I would rather not take.
Many of them were young and healthy and cutting in front of those most at risk. According to our whistleblower, on just a single day last week, 30 people arrived claiming to be employees of Wexler, although some weren't even sure how to pronounce her name. Wexler is a child psychiatrist whose office is on Booth Street in Kansas City, Kansas. When we visited there was no shingle on the door and mail was piling up in the box. We also tried to find Wexler at her Leawood home, but it appeared empty with a for sale sign out front. A neighbor told us she had moved to Texas several months ago. Despite that, just last week, Wexler sent this email to the health department with a list of 8 names after being asked if she had any more employees who needed to be vaccinated. We tried calling and emailing Wexler, but have never heard back. Her website is still up and functioning, and we were told she is seeing clients remotely. Our sources blame the scheme in part on lax Kansas vaccine procedures. For weeks, the unified government's public health department, as with most Kansas health departments, did not require any proof of employment for healthcare workers getting vaccinated. A health department spokeswoman confirmed that ineligible people received vaccines after being referred by Wexler's office. There was a small group of folks who came in after signing up through this practice who did not meet Phase 1 eligibility criteria. Our staff quickly identified the issue and have since resolved it with full cooperation from Dr. Wexler and other leadership in the clinical practice. We have worked with about 250 healthcare organizations so far to get their workers vaccinated, and we haven't had any other issues come up like this. Although Wyandotte Health Department won't answer many of our questions, insiders tell us the county changed its vaccination protocol last week. Healthcare employees are now required to provide identification or other proof of their employment before getting the vaccine. As for Wexler, the health department says it does not plan to pursue any sanctions against her.
That was Linda Wagar reporting for us, but we do want to give you another look right now. We're told that President Biden or President-elect, soon to be President Biden, is now at the podium. We're going to give you guys a live listen into what's happening.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
Office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
And you just saw it right there, our new president, Joe Biden, the 46th president of the United States, being sworn in, as well as Vice President Kamala Harris. That was a swearing-in process. Now, we want to go back to that story that we were talking about out of Kansas City. Linda Wagar now joining us from Kansas City. She was hunting down a story where there were some people getting vaccinated, and Linda, they were straight up skipping the line. They weren't qualified to get vaccinated, and somehow they were slipping through the cracks and getting that vaccination before people who may have needed it.
Yeah, we found out about this through a couple whistleblowers who were involved with the vaccination program here in Kansas City, Kansas. And they discovered that there was this one psychiatrist who, the different doctors' offices, different clinics are supposed to be sending over their employees. But there was this one psychiatrist who had more than 100 people, according to our whistleblowers, who said that they believe posing as employees, and in fact some of them were actors, they were financial advisors, they were people who didn't appear to have any kind of medical background. And the issue with that is that there were a lot of healthy people that were in those lines that were posing as their employees and weren't eligible. And there were a lot of, frontline medical workers that still don't have that vaccine, and these people were getting it instead. So they were so alarmed by that they actually contacted us wanting to let people know.
And Linda, one of the things that I gathered from your story is that at the time, there wasn't a need for proof of employment for those medical workers when they were going to get the vaccination.
Right. Neither Kansas actually or Missouri were requiring any kind of proof of where you worked. So if you said you worked for a nursing home or you said you worked for a hospital, they just trusted you. And I know that now in Kansas, that has changed.
And any other changes from your story? Do you think it was your story that kind of highlighted that major issue of, hey, you need proof. People need to know that these are really frontline workers going to get these vaccines that millions of people want right now?
Right. And I can't take real credit for it. I mean, we just helped share it. And so hopefully other states, and including Missouri, will take action. Kansas took action as soon as it found out about the 100, what our whistleblowers believe, 100 plus people who were ineligible and got the vaccine anyway. So I think it's a good lesson for everybody. We want to believe that people are forthright and honest, and they aren't always. And in states like New York, they have $1 million fine that they announced for healthcare providers who lie about who their employees are.
Yeah, definitely a rush to get this vaccination, and obviously some people just don't want to follow the rules. Linda out of Kansas City. Linda, thanks so much. And speaking of COVID-19, it's still having a direct impact on children across the country. However, that isn't stopping one young girl in North Carolina. She's an entrepreneur and she's accomplishing all of her goals. Ariana Kraft introduces us to her.
I met Rylan Jade Kelly in 2019 to learn about her business, Jade's Journey. It focuses on empowering young girls like herself. Well, now Rylan is a best-selling author. I caught up with her to find out how she was able to write and release a book while managing her business, all during the pandemic. Rylan Kelly says she will never forget the first time she held a copy of her own book. It's called The Science Behind It. It shares the stories of young people overcoming challenges in their lives, including Rylan's. Like many children, when Rylan was younger, she dealt with bullying, but she took that experience and turned it into something to give her the confidence to speak out and be heard.
I was able to, figure out the ideas, say what I wanted to say, and be heard. And that was probably the most important thing I wanted to get through in my story. That it's okay to, stay in your shadows, but it's also really important that you get out there and engage, and also not only, let people talk for you, but talk for yourself as well.
One of Rylan's goals is to inspire other young people to feel self-empowered by learning about business. Rylan tells me she has more projects in the works for Jade's Journey.
What a wonderful story. Way to go, Rylan. What a great way to end our Newsfeed Now newscast. And super cool, you guys got to watch it live here. Our new president and vice president sworn in. You see our new president, the 46th president of the United States, Joe Biden, right there on your screen. Thanks so much for joining us for this wonderful Wednesday. Don't forget, join us right back here tomorrow for what I call Friday Junior. Thursday, same place, same time. Hope to see you tomorrow. Bye.